All right, well, let's get this started. Hello, everyone. Would you like to create a better digital experience for your customers that makes the origination process smoother and faster? Of course you would. I'm John Soroka with Soroka Brand Development and the Mortgage Technology and Marketing Committee Chair, and welcome to our webinar today, Create a Better Customer Experience by Flipping the Origination Script. Today, we have a PowerShot strategy session with FormFree's founder and CEO, Brent Chandler, and our MTAM committee co-chair, Joe Deline of Mortgage Hippo, who in his prior life was a mortgage loan originator for 20 years. So by way of some background, this webinar is a production of the Mortgage Technology and Marketing Committee. The committee was formed to support the development and dissemination of new technologies and marketing strategies that the mortgage industry needs to embrace. As we go through this, please submit your questions and I will direct them to the right individual as they come up, or you can just wait until the Q&A time at the end. With that, over to you, Joe.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, great. So everybody, I want to introduce you to Brent Chandler. He's the CEO and founder of FormFree. And what we're going to be discussing today is not a lengthy PowerPoint. How about that? We're having a webinar without a bunch of PowerPoints. We're actually going to get into a live demo because, I think in today's environment, especially in the state of California, where mortgage originators are much more aggressive and they've been early adopters to technology for, let's say the last 5 years for sure. And everybody has used a different form of a point of sale system, and maybe that's connected to your LOS, or maybe it's a different service that's connected. Many different ways that this could possibly happen, right? But what I wanted to explain to you today is possibly a new strategy for 2020. And I want to get your take on this. So this is going to be a quick little presentation that we'll give you, and we'll dive into this. So everybody talks about having a digital strategy, and that sounds great. I love digital strategies. I mean, who wouldn't? If anything can help me as a loan originator be more revenue producing, so I don't have 6 different passcodes and all the ability to get in all these different portals just to process a loan request, I mean, that would be ideal. And I think that's what we're really trying to shift to as technology really matures in our business. So 7 years ago, FormFree came out with a verification of asset product. And they've been building on these technologies for years now. And I've been a fast follower and a friend of Brent's for years. And I've been watching this transformation happen. And I think now we're finally at the level where originators can control more of that process themselves. If you think about the early point of sale origination systems and things like that, really just kind of perfected the consumer experience. It kind of left high and dry the loan originator. Now we've gotten really smart on those systems, and we've developed platforms for the loan originator, right? So they can control more of that. But isn't that just more of stuff that you got to go through? What if you could streamline this entire experience down to a few moments that would backfill your whole 1003 and begin the process seamlessly? So today I want to have an interactive discussion with Brent Chandler relating to his product called FormFree. And let's just kick it off right now. Brent, why don't you give us a high-level overview of FormFree Passport, and then jump right into the presentation.
Good, yeah, great. Hello, everybody. This is Brent, and it's a delight. I'm glad to be here. Joe and I go way back. John, thanks again for inviting me. And as Joe was saying, there's a lot of history here. The space that we've all been in love with for most of our careers is really changing, and without this camaraderie, I think first of all it wouldn't be as fun. But secondly, Joe has been a fantastic advisor to me, to the company, and really helped guide us, through this myriad of opportunity. So I really appreciate Joe Deline in this industry as well as in my life. So thanks, Joe.
All right, buddy, you got it. Absolutely.
But let me just start with a little background about, kind of where we are, how we got here, and where we're going. I think it's safe to say that everybody thinks things are going to happen faster than they actually do. And I, for one, am relatively impatient and pretty hyper, so I love to move quickly. But what I realized is that in some weird way, things have to move slowly before they can actually move fast. And I think this case started the company in 2008 with the idea of automated asset. We're getting some feedback from somebody. But with the idea of automating what seemed to be a highly manual process. Hey, Joe, we're getting some feedback from you. All right. So the industry was highly manual, and the process that I was going through as a borrower was extremely manual, and I saw an opportunity to digitize it. And this was back in 2008. And I thought it would just be a no-brainer. I thought it would be very easy. And with Joe talking, Joe. So, hey, Joe.
We're getting some feedback on this thing. I don't know if everybody's muted.
Hey, John, can you mute them, please?
I think you're good to go, Brent.
Yeah, we could hear another conversation happening, and it was overriding.
Okay.
So again, I think we saw an opportunity. We thought it would be fairly straightforward because it just made sense, common sense. And then, and what we realized was that while it did make sense, there were so many outlying components to what it could affect that we had to slow down. The industry just couldn't embrace a whole new digital platform and expect it to work. We had to think about all of the counterparty risk components.
We lost you, Brent.
Hey, buddy, come on back. Oh, technology's so good until it's not. You're back, Sarah? Brent?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're back in. Sometimes we're on the go to webinar, crossing all the different areas that we're at. Might have a little bit of slowdown in the middle of the United States in those flyover states. But anyways, so keep on going and let's get into this presentation.
All right. Where I'm going with this is essentially we needed the technological stability in the industry before we could actually move into the hyper-pace mode that we're in now. Mm-hmm. So the theory of that consumers and lenders are beginning to embrace, now we can go fast. And I think that's the point we're at. I think that's where we are. And I also
2020, baby, 2020. That's a good segue.
It's a great segue into 2020. And our theme and our motto in 2020 is let's go. Let's go. It's time. It's time to go fast. We've waited the 5 years, the 10 years of enlightenment period, the early adopter period, it's over. It's time to go. Consumers are ready. Why? They're being inundated with head swiveling applications that people are being asked to go through. Lenders have no idea which POS, which LOS, which AUS, what systems to use, which ones not to use. And investor requirements, but provides this streamlined, efficient, easy to use approach to gathering all the necessary data to calculate a consumer's ability to pay, which ultimately at the end of the day is what everybody wants to know. We want to mitigate risk from a lender. A lender needs to know who they're dealing with, mitigate the risk, and then understand who they're lending to and the propensity for that borrower to pay back. And then the securitizers, the investors, needed to be able to depend on what that lender's providing. So imagine if you could do it at the consumer level. Imagine if the consumer could provide their financial DNA in a single experience right up front. First thing they do, capture identity, right?
That's why I'm thinking 2020 is the ultimate strategy for using this type of a tool. So why don't you walk through the client experience, and let's see if we can get some really good insight from some of these originators that are participating today.
Okay, let's get on it. We're going to pull up. But as you can see here, this is kind of an overview: assets, income, employment, identity, liens and judgments, and credit. Imagine doing it in 3 clicks in a consumer handheld app.
That sounds too easy. It sounds too easy.
About to see it. So what we've designed and what we've created is an environment where the ubiquitous tool for consumers that creates an easy to use access point, i.e.
Sorry, everybody, for the audio problems. Is there a different phone that you could try calling in on?
I think it's just coming over the internet, that's all.
Okay.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. To enable audio controls, please enter.
Get started.
Okay, we're here.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Hey, we dialed in via phone. Can you turn that off?
Yeah, that's great, Brent.
All right. So now we're simply just going to jump into the application and show you just how easy it is. And what this is going to deliver is that unique identifier, what we call the blockchain token of this consumer's financial DNA. So how do we do it? Enter a simple phone number. You'll get a text. Notice at the top, you'll see the text with your sign-in code. You'll enter that code. We'll continue. And now we're going to just get a small glimpse as to what we're going to accomplish here. We're going to capture your identity. As Joe mentioned, we're going to capture your identity, assets, income and employment, liens and judgments, public records, credit, while also being able to pre-populate the 1003. We work with a lot of partners, okay? We don't do this all by ourselves. We work with LexisNexis. We work with data providers. We work with artificial intelligence. We work with machine learning. So what we've been able to do is understand what's the easiest path for a consumer to get into some of this information. And then a walkthrough step on how we're going to do it. And the easiest way is facial recognition. I think you're all familiar with the new technology that exists on Apple phones and other types of phones where you can enter a passcode or you can enter your facial recognition. It's a choice. More and more, facial recognition has been deemed as much more secure than any other form. So we decided to opt into the facial recognition approach. And essentially, we're going to just ask you, where do you bank? Simple question. Do you bank in anyone in our network? There's good news. You're going to go to your banking app and simply pull up the app. We're going to do that for you. You're going to provide your facial recognition. And guess what? You just provided us all the information to validate your identity, your bank balance, routing numbers, information necessary from that bank account that will give us an initial understanding of how much you have in that bank account. Like I said, your identity information, as well as some basic banking information. So now we've collected your banks, we've collected your identity, we've collected some information right up front about your balances. We're going to simply compile that information and complete the identity verification. To capture the rest of the transactions in your bank account, we're simply going to offer your username and password, opportunity. And then we're going to pull up your pay stubs
Oh, jeez.
in a simple search, whereby you can offer your credentials, or you can simply upload your pay stub information by a standard photograph on the phone, or uploading the actual document itself.
So you have payroll aggregation. You have payroll aggregation, and you have also the ability to go manual if they just want to take a picture of their paycheck stub.
Exactly, because we want to make sure we don't leave anybody out. Not everybody. Look, here's the thing. Everybody really knows their online bank accounts, their credentials generally, and certainly more and more people have facial recognition on their apps to log into their financial apps on their phone.
Sure.
But not everybody knows their HR payroll credentials.
That's right, because maybe if they do get electronic paycheck stub, they're viewing it on their desktop where they've got their username or password saved. They may not remember it on the mobile device, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So we recognize that, and we're also not only pulling your pay stubs, your ADP account pay stubs, but we're also pulling W-2s. So we're pulling down W-2s. And what FormFree does is we go, this is the consumer experience, and I'll get into what we do with that data in a minute. But let's just finish out the app. So essentially, what I said was you're going to have that token, right?
Right.
So we believe, and we characterize, this is all done in blockchain. So we are the tip of the spear, if you think about it, of the new blockchain, where this data, every ounce of data that we're getting is direct source. So it's directly from the financial institution, definitely directly from the payroll provider. In the form of a document, we corroborate that data with information, employment information, income information, identity information that we're collecting. That's all public records, over 40 billion records that we have access to via our relationship with LexisNexis. So we're corroborating all this information. So now I have my passport. I can share it with that lender. If it's built into the lender already, if you are the lender and the underwriter and you're offering passport, then you'll automatically get it. There'll be no opportunity for the consumer to share.
Right.
But essentially, we can share it with other folks who need to verify information about us. And we can more or less see the high-level passport report, what the information is going to be shared initially in a printable report. And here I'll show you that actual printable report if it comes up.
That's awesome. And so me as the consumer, it's like full transparency from the consumer's perspective, right?
That's right. So the consumer sees everything that they need to.
Loan number, ID, 30-day balance, 60-day balance, 90-day balance. Wow. So just in the paycheck stub, you got that he works at Firebox, and you have his accounts. He has 2 accounts there. And what's the income stream thing?
So we have assets, income, and an income stream. The income stream is additional information that may be coming in that may not necessarily be tied to the actual income. So there could be additional income streams. Think about Airbnb, PayPal. A lot of folks have different.
I'm an Uber driver at night.
That's right.
Gig economy workers.
So the beauty is that what we're collecting in a single pull, in that single experience, is all of the consumer's financial DNA in an easy-to-use, customer-friendly, pass-through exchange information, direct source data application.
Now, how do I get this all into my 1003, Brent? How does this all get onto my 1003 through your pre-fill? Because that's really going to save the originator tons of time, right? I didn't have to walk. I just invited my consumer to go through this. They went through the experience and they completed it. Now you've saved me tons of time on the back end by pre-filling all of this data back onto the 1003. I as the originator don't need to enter it again.
Yeah, no, that's all behind the scenes, you know. So all the lender has to do is say we want that. So we call it a DMAP. It's called DMAP, and it's a LexisNexis partnership with us where we extract all the information. All you have to do is say we want that feature, and we generate that information and pre-populate the 1003 on your behalf. And it's both .2 and .4 of the ERLA.
Format. Okay, great. So you can have a 3.4 format for all those ones that are already ready to go with a 3.4 MISMO format?
Yes, it's ready to go
nice.
in that format as well. So we're ahead of the curve. I know it sounds like a lot of features in one. What we've done at FormFree is create a series of APIs, and the API information is all accessible via what you're seeing here, which is what we call a UI. It's just the application that sits on top of all of the APIs that drive all of these features. So the coolest part about this is that if you just suggested, if you said, you know, this particular app doesn't work for you, we want it to look and feel like our brand, well, then you have every right and every capability with FormFree to either A, build your own, sitting right on top of it, B, integrate it into your existing workflows within your own POS. If you have a proprietary POS, as you all know, we work with a lot of different POS providers, i.e., you know, all of them. But so.
And Mortgage Hippo, you forgot that one, but okay.
I did not forget it, but I just realized that if I say one, I'm going to forget somebody. So therefore, I retracted that statement. And no, but Mortgage Hippo, obviously, we love. And so, you know, the idea is that we want to be thought leaders in terms of how consumers can interact with you, but it's really empowering lenders. FormFree is not a lender. We're a fintech company. And so we go to great lengths on your behalf. Everyone listening, we work for you. I said it in my video. I mean that. You know, it's funny because what we're doing is not for our own benefit necessarily where, hey, this is great. Let's get everybody to use it because that'll make FormFree great. No, it's get everybody to use it because FormFree wants to stay in business, but it's going to keep lenders on the cutting edge. That's what it's about.
Right.
And we love what we get to do. Why? Because we are the cutting edge. We are out in front, and we're constantly working with the GSEs. So on your behalf, not only do I have to keep this safe and secure, 100%, we're a security company first, and we can spend another hour talking about security in another call. However, suffice it to say that we do over 100 audits annually from the biggest companies and banks in the world. And by companies, I mean government agencies, I mean technology companies like Microsoft, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USAA, big banks, Chase, Citi. We've had them all in-house, and we do literally hundreds of them. We just completed our 2019 SOC 2, and we just started our 2020 SOC 2. I mean, it's around the curve. You guys know this. Most of you know. It's a never-ending process.
Yeah.
So we love it. That's the business we're in. We love it. But
so
what I'm showing you, what I believe in 2020 is that it's time to go. It's time to go. And the data and the information that you see in here, literally, with a credit pull, which we also do, we can do soft pulls, we can do full pulls. But at the lead level, the first touch to the consumer, you're gathering this information. Our business model for you, for everyone on this call, is called closed loan, which means we don't want to charge you unless you actually close the loan. Now, by law, we have to charge $1 for that initial report that we showed you, this one. We can give that to you for $1. And you can say, hey, you know what? This just isn't going to happen. We can't go further with this thing, with this borrower. We got to help them. We got to nurse them. We got to get them more information. So let's put this person on hold and move on. So you're looking at thousands and thousands, hundreds and hundreds of borrowers per day. And you're saying, well, gee, I don't want to use this on everyone because that could get expensive. And we're saying, don't pay for it if it doesn't close. That's the most beautiful thing. But here's the caveat, and I will not use the QPQ. I'm not going to use that term. It's just not a good term these days. But the caveat to that deal is you have to use it on every one. What we don't want you doing is gaming us. We don't want you to say, hey, here's a great order. Let's go over here to competitor number B and get it done. Or let's just go manual.
Yeah.
So we want that mutual relationship where we say, hey, we're going to give it to you for $1.
Right.
Use it on every borrower approach because it's a better experience anyway. And this is the direction the industry and the world's going.
Yeah.
And it's going to put you out in front. And then pay FormFree a reasonable deal on the reports for the ones you close. And why is that a good deal?
That's great.
Well,
I think we're all originators, Brent. We get why that's a good deal.
Okay.
But we have some really highly skilled originators on the phone, right, with us today. And we have, guys that have been in the business super long time to hopefully a couple new people that are coming to this business. And, we have, people that own companies on this call, people that are running companies, running origination outfits and everything else. So what's the best way that you know of, or what some of your ideal clients, what is the best way to approach this? I really want to take a new strategy in 2020 as a loan originator, and I want to be able to use this and focus on revenue producing tasks. What is the best way for me to initiate this type of conversation with a borrower to get them to go through this? I mean, if I just got a referral from a realtor, right? And sure, I could link them into my signature where they can go to my whole app and fill out the whole app and everything else. But really, I know the whole deal. The realtor just told me they want to buy this home for $800,000, right? They got about 5% down. They're looking for the best options for them. And now I can just send them Passport and I can be done with like under 5 minutes? And I can get all of this data together. I'll be able to issue a real firm approval from here, right? What's the best way to introduce a client to using Passport? If you heard that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And a client using Passport is essentially talking to us. I mean, if the client is the lender, or then our integration teams, our training teams will white glove handhold the experience to offer the best approach that meets your needs. But the reality is, at this point, that we've got to talk about workflow. We've got to understand, and I think the lending industry at large needs to understand, and you kind of teed it up with it in the beginning, that this is the new POS. I mean, I think a POS is a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Right.
But when I think about tip of spear, we don't call it a POS because the POS does a lot of other things. It's a workflow designed application. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is delivering the bulk of the information from the consumer on the things the consumer can control. I'm also working with House Canary to potentially bring in appraisals, but I think that lenders and underwriters and folks on this call have workflows in place that either A, depend on a POS, or B, if they use this, they could fill with relationships that they currently have. So we like to have those discussions in a consultative way with every single one of our customers. We today have over 2,000 lenders on our application. We have, as you could see yesterday, we did a press release. We did over just close to 2 million verification reports with the report you just saw last year. And, and we're growing exponentially. So I think that what we try to do is partner with each and every one of you and design and create the best workflow for what you just saw. And some firms, APIs exist. Everything you see here is all API driven, which means they're exposed. And you can tap those. We can design, you can use our app right here that you're seeing. And or that can live in piecemeal. Most of you are familiar with Account Check and what you see there. That also exists as a
a la carte,
as an iframe. A la carte. So there's a lot of different ways. So what we're trying to do right now in this environment right here that you're seeing on the screen is simplify everything.
Sure.
Just simplify it.
Right.
Let your consumer go to an app, download the app, get you the information you need. You can stay with your POS. You can eliminate the POS. But you get a unique identifier at the end of the day.
Okay.
Hey, Brent, Joe, I got a couple of questions here, and before we get too far away from when you covered the topic, I thought I'd jump in, if it's okay. A couple of questions. First one, what happens when they don't have a hit with employment and they don't have a check stub with them?
What happens?
Well, then that part of the app doesn't get filled out, so you're going to have an incomplete passport, but you don't need to do all the things. Like, let's just say, for example, they bailed right here in the ADP paycheck stub integration because they forgot their password, right? Well, you can have them come back to the app and finish it later.
Right.
You don't have to have it now.
Is that the same thing with the assets then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not
I think consumers realize they may not have all this information, but I think majority of them will know some of this information and be able to take a picture of the things they need, right? Your typical millennial will probably fly through this application very quickly. But I guess the paradigm is really here. The paradigm is now available. It's what are we going to do as originators to embrace the group of technology that's been given to us today. I mean, I never thought that we would be this far with like this passport. I never thought that you could have all of these things done in such a really fast experience with your borrowers. And so this kind of, to me, changes the realm of how originators can originate. And I guess that's the biggest point that I wanted to have our group in this committee have the ability to see if there's a way that we could initiate some great conversations around best practices and how to use something like this, right? I got to tell you, this is not for every originator, right? This is really for those originators that really want to be top producers and don't want to be sitting all day long inside of their legacy LOS, right? They want to have the ability to quickly get some information, get back to them, and be competitive right there at the point of sale. And so this could actually be one of those choices. So that's what I kind of wanted to open up everybody, kind of open your eyes in 2020 to see what the possibilities are. We know that many companies that we're dealing with today have to follow the company protocol. Well, also have to follow what their company has. But could we talk to those owners and managers about changing the strategy? And if this would possibly work, there's really no loss here. If you're not going to close the loan, you're not going to pay for it. So that's very different too as well. So a lot of things to think about here. So Brent, I really appreciate everything you showed us. We probably should get into questions before we could talk about this for hours, I'm sure. But let's be courteous to our folks who have given us 35 minutes of their time today to come to this webinar. So why don't you go with the questions there, John?
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. I thought you said earlier that you were going to handle the question.
Oh, great. I'm going to do the questions then. Yes. Okay. So here's a question. Here's a couple of questions that
I just had the questions I saw right in front of me over here. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, and Joe, before you jump in, this is Dustin. Just a reminder to everyone else on the call, if you'd like to submit a question to one of our, to either Joe or Brent, you can use the questions module and submit it that way. And we'll hang on for a few minutes and Joe will ask a few questions that we've got and hopefully get some good dialogue going. Great.
Brent, one question came from a loan originator who works for an independent mortgage banker, and they wanted to know which LOSs are you currently configured with and your partners with?
Okay, so thank you for the question. If we go to formfree.com, you'll see
all of them.
90 to 95% of all of the LOSs, POSs that we're engaged with, but it's pretty much everybody.
Okay.
We've made an effort as a company to integrate with all of the LOSs in the industry.
Well, and plus they're all knocking on your door too. When can we get signed up, right? So that's great. Okay, good. Second question is that as an originator, how do I get my customer and to send them an invite so they don't have to go to the App Store and download it? Is there a way I can just send them an invite somehow, and how does that work?
Yeah, totally. So that's the web. So there's a native app, a web app, and that's simply a day in the life. So if you think about, how you gain access to it today with Account Check. I mean, there's a dashboard that sends off an email, or you can integrate it into your POS. So it runs the full gamut. So it's an email to your customer. It can be a text to your customer with a link.
Oh, sweet. So it can be a text.
Oh, absolutely. Every email comes with a text. The consumer generally has to opt in to receive text. But again, there's different policies at different firms. But we support email, text, and app.
Great. Now, with that, the next question came up. If I have the ability to, say my company has this and I'm one of 50 loan officers, right? But I have a couple top producers that are really good and really active, and it's just the same in every mortgage company. 20% of the originators fund 80% of the volume, right? And this group of 20 are trying to use this as a better way to market themselves in front of realtors, right? And so they're out in the field and doing this thing and everything else, and they're trying to win over. If my company gets set up, how does Joe loan originator know it's not going to be Sarah loan originator sending the same link? Do we all have individual unique links?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good. So very thoughtful that way. So could this ever be something I could put in my signature of my email?
Yeah, I mean, you could put it. You can link it any way you want.
Nice.
It's your link. It is unique to the email of the end user, though. So the email is actually one of the unique identifiers of the.
Oh, great. Well, that's awesome. Okay, great. So does this really work well with some CRMs? Because I could see, good revenue producing originators like to use a CRM and other forms of those type of things to keep themselves organized. And I know I've seen you interact with a number of CRMs that are out there today in the past. And so if somebody's using, for example, the big one, what's the big one called?
Salesforce.
Sure, Salesforce. Not a lot of independent mortgage bankers use Salesforce, but that's a good one. Cross country uses Salesforce. So how would you do it through Salesforce?
Total Expert.
Total Expert. There's one. How can you do it through your Total Expert? Just send a link.
Well, it's funny because I think it's a good fit there, but they have been slow to see the value at the CRM level, and so there's certainly the opportunity to generate the link there. We give you like I said, you can log in with a button. I can put a button on your email. I can put a button anywhere, and it basically generates it. So yeah, it's a.
So if I'm sitting at the bar, right? And I'm in Southern California. I'm sitting at the bar, and I'm hanging out with one of my buddies, and he introduces me to one of his friends who says, "Hey, yeah, I heard you're buying a house. So what's the rate today?" Right? And he tells him what the rate can be and everything else, and he goes, "Great. How do I get started?" You could send him a link right from the bar.
Yep. You just go into your lender app. The lender dashboard is mobile, and you just go in there and create an order for that particular bar. Hey Joe, I'm gonna go get you a cup of coffee. What would you like? You want you want a soy latte? All right. I'm gonna send you a link. By the time I come back from getting your coffee, please go through that link and we'll talk about it.
That's great. Okay, so very easy, very mobile friendly, very easy to use, very easy to initiate, right? And okay, great. Well, those were the other three questions that I had. One was really more related to, I think what we could probably do the next time around, and maybe we could offer something in the future off the back of your website to help originators really understand how to explain this to a consumer. I think we have a number of originators in our space that really don't have a good way to explain it. So maybe we could get together and get some best practices, and maybe when we see you at the CMBA show again this year, we could talk about some of those results.
Absolutely. And so we go to great lengths to train, to provide documentation, we've created a resource center, step by step, one for the borrower, one for the lender, one for all constituents involved, FAQs all the way through.
Great.
And the way I see this is what lenders need and originators need to understand is that consumers, as the consumer, I built this as the consumer. I was the user, and they get it. It's just getting it to them. There's very little training that actually has to happen. It's more of an understanding. Hey, you want a loan? Okay, cool. Here's how we're going to gather the information. I'm going to send you a link. Go through that link, and then we'll talk as soon as you get it done. Period. How many of you, raised by show of hands, have called Amazon recently to ask them how to use that sophisticated app?
Not me.
Nobody raised their hand. Wait, what about Facebook? Anybody talked to Zuckerberg lately and asked him how to add a picture?
How does that GraphQL API work, Facebook?
Yeah, or Uber, or any of these apps. It's intuitive. The consumers, what we've done is designed it in an intuitive way, with full explainers, full videos, and Q&A throughout the entire app, such that, or the experience, so that the consumer absolutely knows. So there's a reason companies are being acquired for billions of dollars right now, based on adoption of these types of products. It's because hundreds of millions of consumers are doing it. They're doing it. So I think lenders need, one of the things that I talk about when I say, hey, it had to go slow before it can go fast. We should be at the place where we are literally 100% supportive of these types of apps because consumers want it. They demand it. It's time to go.
Yep.
It's there.
That's a great closing, Brent. That's really smart. Thank you very much for your time today. Go over one more slide there, John and Dustin, and show all the contact information. If somebody wants to follow up with us, you can follow up with us directly, or follow up with Brent directly, or hit the website over there at FormFree and check out Passport. You'll be seeing it at a number of shows, including the CMBA show. And so thanks very much for your time today, Brent, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of everything that you're doing and sharing it with our group here. We have this Innovator Conference that's coming up back in May down in San Diego. I'm sure people are going to be there. We do have an early bird deadline for people who want to come and register early. I can tell you last year was fantastic. It was a great environment and really a great place where we had it too as well. So come and join us at the Innovators Conference and meet Brent personally there. And if you see him at any conference that you're going to besides the CMBA Mortgage Innovators Conference, then please do say hi to Brent, all right? And so thanks everyone for their time today. We'll have this, we're going to record this video, we'll send it out, and hey, make it a great day, everyone.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us. We want to make sure that we do our best to deliver quality content. So I have a favor to ask of all of you. You'll be receiving a survey within an hour. Please take the time to fill that out to let us know what you thought of today's webinar. And also, if you have anything that you would like to learn about in future webinars, please let us know that as well. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.